That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a minute and listen to this flashback of the It Is What It Is radio show.
Right now. Make sure y'all share us. So, please. Miss Entice.
All right,
Miss Vicious.
Okay.
Vicious.
Favorite place to have sex outside the bedroom?
Anywhere.
Oh. That's not an answer.
That's not an answer?
Specific. Outside of the bedroom.
You mean where have I?
No. Where is the spot you like to have sex outside of the bedroom?
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not a forest fucker, so.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Be Exposed Radio.
Well, if you made them, take care of them.
Yeah,
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com. You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome everybody to another week of Now We're Talking live with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and
Lolita E. Walker. Hello, happy Thursday. We are so excited to be here this week.
Yes, we are. We got a great show planned for you all. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
All things relationships, right?
That's right.
Before we even dive into that, let's stick backwards. How was your week?
It was good. It was a really good week. Very busy week, but very productive.
Okay. Yeah. Share. What was your win for this week?
This week I got to spend every single day in the morning time with my kids. And I don't usually get to do that. I'm usually rushing out the house. And this week I had my kids in different things in different places, and I was the person that handled all of that. And it just gave me an opportunity to spend some QT with my cuties. So,
I love it.
I love it.
Hopefully they're watching.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
Okay.
Really
Cool. Well, we always start with small wins. So happy Thursday again. Think of your small win. We would love to hear from you. We are live on Now We're Talking Facebook page. We're live on Be Exposed Radio Facebook page and YouTube. So please write your questions for all things relationship. My win for last week. I really had a great week last week. I locked on the content. I'm going to Seattle next week, so I won't be here. Right. But Mervin's going to be here with an amazing show, and I'm going to be doing a fireside chat there with a group called Women That Hold the Key. And it's so powerful. I've never been to Seattle, and this is not only in Seattle where I'm going to be doing my book signing at Barnes & Nobles, but it's also on Vashon Island, which is an island off of Seattle, I think. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
That sounds really cool.
Yes.
And when you say fireside chat, is it literally going to be fireside?
It's literally going to be a fire pit.
Okay.
And it's going to be women. I think we're expecting between 60 and 75 women just to really come out. And it's just so powerful. It's called Women Hold the Key. And the idea is that women hold keys to unlock and lock all aspects of your life, which is absolutely true. And that's right up my alley.
Yeah.
So I will be talking about finding your passion, purpose, and power. And it's just going to be so amazing. So I locked the content for that. I spoke to the organizer, Tina. Shout out to Tina and to Sarah, who definitely have been engaged in pulling me into that. So really excited about that. And also, we only have 4 spots left available for my women's retreat, September 19th.
So people need to get on it.
Get on it. There's 4 more seats available. You can go to lolitawalker.com and you'll see all the information for September 19th. Really, really excited about that.
Yeah, that's right around the corner.
Right around the corner, and so is yours. Right around the corner.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes,
so once we know more details, we'll be pushing that one too. It's not even just pushing it; it's just that we want to gift you guys the experience of really being around all women or all men and really pouring into yourselves, because it's rare that we do that.
Yeah, I agree. And if you've never been on a retreat, especially a women's retreat or a men's retreat, you should really, like you said, gift yourself the experience, because a lot of people, like, we hear the term retreat thrown around a lot. There's movies about it. There's the couples retreat movie with Adam Sandler and Chris Rock. But it's really a powerfully unique experience. And everyone that I've spoken to that has left a retreat, especially your retreat in particular, has left feeling completely transformed. Like their life is now starting all over again.
Yes.
And it's really that powerful. So people really should, to the extent that you can tell everyone you know about it, I encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity.
Absolutely. And talking about relationships in particular, one of the things that's so powerful about retreats is that you build new relationships. And these new relationships are lasting relationships because you start on a foundation of kind of learning together and growing together. And so it's just so powerful. I can't say enough about it. And so if you've never been to a women's retreat, definitely check this one out. And if you've never been to a men's retreat, definitely. There's power in just being around people that have like needs, and where it's small enough where you feel you can make yourself vulnerable and learn.
Right.
So be poured into. It's definitely worth it. And I'm super excited about it.
Good.
Yay! Let's talk about the show we're having today.
I know. Are they ready? I don't know if they're ready.
I don't know if they're ready for the questions that we have and for our audience today, but we are talking all things relationship. And so I did a post about this because, you know, normally when you think about relationships, the first thing that comes to mind is a marriage. But relationships are so much bigger than just a marriage. Not just a marriage, but I feel like a marriage takes it up a notch. But there's a relationship between employer and employee. There's the relationship between a student and their teacher. There's the relationship between a spouse, right? Partners.
People that are dating.
Yep. Children and their parents.
People without titles.
People without titles. You're right. There's just the relationship of coworkers.
Right.
Right. Just in that space. And there has to be some natural, I can't wait to talk to them because in my mind, I feel like there are some natural linkages between all of them, but I'm so interested to hear what do they coach people on or counsel people on all the time, and what are those, top 2 things that they do?
Yeah, and what are the common things that they see repeatedly, like over and over and over again, both good and bad, positive and negative.
Absolutely, we're here for it all. So if you have any questions on relationships, or you have any, not even questions, just ahas, like, hey, this is what I've seen over time, push them into the comments and we are just going to talk about it. So our guests today are relationship experts, the Tysons. So cool. Tekesha Tyson and Buster Tyson. And they are the owners of 2 Divided by 2. And I can't wait to talk to them about where that name came from, what it means, and then how it intertwines into what they teach to people.
Yes, and what they do. I'm interested in getting their reactions and responses to some of the current trends in relationships, both marriage and outside of marriage, why people get married, what are some of the reasons why people enter relationships, what are the most common reasons why relationships end,
or are fostered, right?
Or what are the things that go into growing relationships and improving them. And what are the common questions that people have? Like, it seems like there are always a lot of questions, and people a lot of times direct those questions to people that'll give similar answers to what they already would give anyway. And I think there's not a lot of opportunities for people to get different perspectives outside of their own when it comes to relationship issues, whether you're talking about intimate relationships or, like you said, business relationships, work relationships, parental relationships. We tend to lean towards places where we can get advice that's going to echo our own thoughts.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to talking to Tekesha and Buster Tyson, relationship expert couple.
Yes.
They have a really interesting business model. They provide different services.
Yeah.
They have an interesting story.
Yeah.
An interesting personal story. So, you know, of course, the number one question people get is, well, what qualifies you to give advice?
So we're going to ask it.
Yeah, we're going to ask them.
Yeah.
You know, what is the source of your knowledge?
Yeah, always. You know, people always want to fact check, so I love it, and we're going to ask it right from the experts. I know they're excited to be here. I'm excited to have them. And why did we talk about relationships? So we've had several different conversations, whether it's like single moms or being a child of a single mom. We've had self-care. We've had topics, you know, from government to right now, in the right now.
Yeah.
And all of them have some type of relationship with relationships, right? So this is going to be super cool to kind of find out all of that information. So yay to relationships. I know, quite frankly, everything that's been going on in the news right now, and you know, we don't really talk about politics on this show, but there's just a lot going on right now with the president, with what's happening inside of our own country, with the bigotry, with the hate, with the clear racism that's happening right now. And quite frankly, with so much social media, I think that we also can talk about relationships with your friends, because I think now now you really get to see who people are.
Yeah.
And what are some things that, you know, maybe we can talk to them about. How do you manage that with your friends? I know how I would manage it, but maybe there's a way that an expert can tell us how to manage those relationships.
Right.
And are they important to you? Are they important to you when they don't match your core values? And that goes back to some stuff that we talked about on the show before too, right?
It does, absolutely. And another interesting perspective is some people manage their relationships, going to what you were just saying, by not talking about certain things. And so their relationships tend to stay at a certain level, whether it's surface level or maybe slightly beneath the surface. So I think it's really important to do some self-assessing of our relationships and not put all relationships on the same level.
Absolutely.
Because they're really not if you look deeper into them.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. So I'm happy to talk about that. So we have a lot of stuff. I should probably be writing it down. We want to talk about relationships, professional, personal, just life and home. We want to talk about managing social media friends when there's tough conversations to be had in the political sense, or when it tests your core values. Quite frankly, I'm at a point in my life that if we are not seeing each other eye to eye and it is testing my own core values, it's not running up against standing on the foundation of my core values, then it's a space that I don't need that person in my life. And I feel very comfortable saying that. I feel like I'm authentically me. I feel like I can walk in that and go to sleep at night without an issue. I feel like God puts people in places and spaces for a reason. And for that, I'm okay to let someone be off the train for a little while. But it'll be interesting how our experts say, hey, this might be a way that you can handle it.
It'll be interesting to find out what gets people off the Lolita train.
Oh,
what gets you kicked off the
Lolita train? Get your pens and paper right.
Oh, boy.
Get your pens and paper right. I'll give you a
I don't
list.
want to get kicked off the Lolita train.
No, I'm just a regular Scorpio. Regular Scorpio.
So send your questions in. I know a lot of you have questions. Those of you joining us on the live chat, send them in. Let us know, if you're in a relationship or if you've ever been in one. Why did you get into that relationship? Was it love? Was it companionship? Was it to have children? Was it for financial stability? I mean, there are so many different reasons people enter relationships, so many different reasons why people stay in relationships, so many different reasons why people end relationships. And we want to talk about it all. So send your questions in, send your comments in. We can't wait to address them.
Oh, yes. Just right there, we talked about getting in it. Why do people get in it? Why do people stay in it? Why do people end it?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a whole show on itself, but we definitely want to tap into that. We want to tap into a number of things. So if you're just joining us, welcome. It's Thursday, and we are talking all things relationships. We have the Tysons with us, relationship experts, and they're the owners of 2 Divided by 2. We're happy to have them, Ms. Tekesha and Mr. Buster. are here with us today. So we'll find out a little bit about their story, which I believe is quite interesting. You might even find out a little bit about our own individual relationships. We'll see. But I'm sure that there's some things that you guys can piggyback on. So send us your questions to Now We're Talking Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook, Now We're Talking Radio Show. We're live streaming, and you can send us questions directly through the live stream.
Yep. I think we are going to break.
Yep, it's time for a break.
It's time for break. So as soon as we get back, we will introduce you to our guests. All right, Now We're Talking.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com.
I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out. And
exactly.
Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything in that nature. And I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do. And I think that that's a big problem that people face now. Like, you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular. It's getting that person money. It's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause. I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like, I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, and I was thinking, like,
The Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Far into this unknown to find who we really are. Crash into something new and take a break from our broken heart. Talk with the hip, tell me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, try not to say too much. Let your love come down. If you wanna rule, it's some rules you gotta live by. Live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move. Don't wait on nobody else. And if it feels like a melody, sing a song, be my radio. And if you follow me there, I'll follow you back. Let the night unfold. I can tell that she can't get enough, show enough. She couldn't keep her hands off of me. Oh no, she couldn't keep her hands off of me. Touching hands till we dance in the dark, show enough. She couldn't keep her hands off of me. We do whatever we like. Keep her hands off of me. Oh no, she couldn't keep her hands off of me. So let's slide, you and me alone, to find who we really are. Crash into something new. I got ballet banging up the car. You throw me a kiss, tell me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, I wanna take you, but we gotta groove so we can lose the crowd. If you wanna rule, there's some rules you gotta live by. Live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move. Don't wait on nobody else. And if it feels like a melody, sing a song, be my radio. And if you follow me there, I'll follow you back. Let the night unfold. I can tell that she can't get enough, show enough. She couldn't keep her hands off of me. Oh no, she couldn't keep her hands off of me. Touching hands till we dance in the dark, show enough. She couldn't keep her hands off of me. We do whatever you like. Keep her hands off of me. Oh no, she couldn't keep her hands off of me.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking. We're live on the Now We're Talking radio show with Mervin and Lolita.
Hey, how are you? We are so excited to have 2 Divided by 2, which is their company. It is Miss Tekesha and Mr. Buster. And we are so excited to have you guys. This is the Tysons, and we are talking all things relationships today.
Thank you so much. We're glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
Yes. So we were talking to our audience, and we were saying, hey, we're talking about relationships, but relationships can span more than just marriage, right?
Indeed.
It could be employer, employee. It could be your child and a parent. It could be so many things. And so before we dive in, because we go all in.
Okay.
We all in.
Okay.
And tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Well, we have been married 14 years. It'll
Okay.
be 15 years next month.
Congratulations.
3 children, a dog, multiple businesses, and now a ministry. So life is always busy, never dull. But it's fun. I get to do it with him, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I wouldn't pick anybody else to do it with.
Oh, I hope not.
Me too.
Yes. So how did you guys get started in counseling or being relationship experts?
We got started because of our own relationship. Our relationship, like she said, spans right now for 14 years, headed into our 15th year. Our marriage, we've been in a relationship for over 20 years. And so during that time, obviously, we've had some ups and downs, and we got to a place where we were really low. So it got so bad that we separated for an amount of 10 months. Right? And so in that 10 months, when it looks like our relationship is actually getting buried, it was really just being planted. And so our relationship was a seed into what is now coming to fruition, and that's 2 divided by 2. And so 2 divided by 2 is just 2 people that come from 2 different backgrounds, 2 different upbringings, 2 different everything, 2 different families, 2 different ways of life, 2 different everything to come together to make one good marriage. And so that's the reasoning behind our name, but the purpose behind it is so that we can help marriages thrive in a place where they are, because a lot of times people get in spaces where they don't believe their marriages will make it, right? Because putting 2 different people together is harder than it looks. And so sometimes you get to a place where you think your marriage is going to fail, and because we was at that place ourselves, we've been gifted with the experience to be able to bring people back to life.
That's awesome. So I'm divorced.
Okay.
So this is an interesting conversation for me, and I have a perspective. But Mervin is married, and how long has it been? It's been what, 15 years? More than that? 14. See, almost 15. I feel like I added a year.
Something like that. Come on, Mervin.
No, hold on.
Let's get it right.
2002. It's 2019.
Okay, that's 17.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah.
I knew it had to be over 15. I feel like it was
Almost.
over. But I can honestly understand the struggles that are in a marriage.
Sure.
Because it gets to a point sometimes, there's so many outside influences that get into your head. Your ego can get involved. There's so many things when it comes to just a relationship. Forget about just marriage. Just a relationship with any 2 people or more, that I think is fabulous what you guys are doing. Because when you have someone that's been through it, that you can talk to, communication to me is so big when it comes to any relationship.
It is.
And I talk about communication all the time, but that goes into one of the questions that I had, which is, if you had to choose, like, what are maybe the 3 fundamental aspects to a relationship, a successful relationship, that you say these 3 things have to be a critical part of a relationship?
Any relationship? Well, I'm God's daughter, so for me, number 1 would be spirituality, a spiritual foundation. Number 2 definitely would have to be communication. And 3, just listening. Communication can be verbal, it can be nonverbal, but it doesn't necessarily involve listening. So you need to make sure that you're listening to that person, whether it's their verbal communication or their nonverbal communication. The other person needs to be able to listen in order to communicate back effectively. So that would be my 3.
And I would have to add just one more, because all of those are absolutely correct. But I would also add intentionality, right? Because a lot of times people are in relationships, whether you're talking about man and woman, or woman and woman, man and man, or business, or whatever, in all relationships, because that's what we're talking about, right? Right. Some people aren't intentional about the relationship. And so that often brings space. Because if I don't call you, if I don't check up on you, and then you feel a certain type of way about it, then you stop calling me and checking up on me. And so now we are getting this space in our relationship that doesn't allow our relationship to grow. So inclusive in those 3 things, I would also add intentionality.
I would add, since we're adding here, I think I would also add honesty. I think it's so important to be honest, and not only for listening, but to be intentional on how you're verbalizing things. Because oftentimes folks shut down. You might shut down because of how someone said something to you. It's the things that's not said sometimes that you infer, exactly what you were saying, that you infer, that now all of a sudden have blown up in your mind, and by the time you speak about it, it's too late. So one of the things that we definitely are going to have to do is break down different types of relationships, but we wanted to start at the macro level and say, what are the top things that are so important? And I love what you guys said. You said spirituality, you have to have a foundation, right?
Indeed.
You said communication.
Right.
You said being intentional.
Yes.
And listening.
Listening. I said honesty. What would you add?
I would add introspection. Because based on my own experience and the experiences that I've observed, just living life, we spend a lot of time pointing the finger outward. And especially in relationships, whenever there are issues, whenever there are problems, whenever there's friction, the first thing most people do is figure out all the reasons why it's the other person's fault.
Definitely. And
all the reasons why it's the other person's responsibility. But one thing that I've come to learn is that both people in every relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship or a platonic relationship, both people are responsible for the health, wealth, and success of that relationship. So we're going to be back after this short break, but we got lots more questions.
All right.
So if you're watching, please stay tuned. If you're with us on the live stream, please send in your questions and your comments, because we will address them. We'll be right back with Now We're Talking.
Like, the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like, yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. So no matter what you up to, just go hard. Don't matter. Can you imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach growling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet of water and bread. No father figure, that's cause my father dead. Mom's bringing different niggas in and out the crib. No money, so you seen it's less than all your friends. But it a joke because your mother was a crackhead. Older sister hoeing off, giving all the homies head. I could wait for your response, but they let her hear me talk, so I just wait for the applause. I always knew that I was great, I got them haters so appalled. I'ma make it out the darkness, and my word is my bond. Delivering these bars while I'm gripping on my balls. Jealous niggas hate to see you succeed, so fuck them all. I'm the master of my destiny, nigga, you not in charge. You either on your grind or in the way, so get lost. Be a man of everything you say you stand for. Lead your people by example, being hands-on. If you're back against the wall, then get your mash on. Fix your vision on the future like it's fast forward.
we're rewarding you for something you already do, listening to us. It's Radio Loyalty, and it's an easy way for you to get free stuff. All you do is sign up. Go ahead and click the banner now. You'll earn points as you listen. Points you can trade in for great products and services in the Radio Loyalty store. You can earn even more points when you share your favorite station with friends on Facebook and Twitter. Radio Loyalty. It's free to sign up, so click the banner to join now.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We'll talk about that when we get on.
How do I
recap where we were? We say spirituality, honesty. Oh.
Welcome back to Now We're
Hey.
Talking. We're back with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker.
Hello, happy Thursday, and we have 2 amazing guests with us today. We have my relationship experts, and they are here to talk everything relationships. So far, for those of you guys that are joining us, we have talked a couple of things. We started talking about not only where this name comes from. I love it.
Thank you so much.
I love it.
Thank you.
2 divided by 2 is the name of their company, and we started talking about what are some of the aspects, the key aspects to a healthy and successful relationship. And you guys want to talk about a couple of relationships collectively.
And also in why you chose those and what's so important about each one. We talked about spirituality, communication, listening, and then Lolita and I threw in our own. I threw in introspection.
And I had honesty. Yeah. So talk to us about why you believe you must always be seated on a spiritual foundation.
Well, I can only give advice about spiritual relationships because that's who I am.
Right.
So I can't have a conversation about how it is to have a non-Christian relationship because I don't have any of those. I've been a Christian since I was born. Even though that decision was made for me, growing up in a Christian home, I took it upon myself to find out what that meant. And then I gave my life to Christ at an early age and did it again a little later in my young adult age because I wanted to make sure that I recognized the decision that I made when I was so young. So since then,
just let me interrupt you just for a second, sweetie, because not everybody who's listening has a relationship with Christ, right? But I believe the spirituality is still important because everybody believes in something. Right? Even people who don't believe in anything, they believe in not believing. Right? So we all have a relationship, a spiritual relationship with something. And our spiritual relationship just happens to be with God, whom we can proclaim through Jesus Christ.
Right.
Go ahead.
So because I've made that's who I am, I can only base everything I'm about to say out of my mouth based on who I am. So with that being said, I think spiritual foundation in whatever it is that I choose to do and people choose to do matters. Even before we walked in here for this radio show, we've been on maybe 4 or 5 radio shows in the past 2 weeks and a television interview on Saturday. And before we walked in any of those doors, we prayed. Before we do anything throughout the day, we pray. Whatever business decision we're about to make, whatever business meeting we're about to go in, we pray. I pray with my friends. I pray with those relationships. If you want to do business with me, we pray. Now, some people say they keep that out. Some people will pray before they walk into a boardroom. That's fine. But like he said, everyone believes something. Everyone believes something. Even when people look at these self-help people and these people that send motivational quotes and all of that, if you really look at those motivational movies and YouTubes and these tutorials, all of that, if you really know the word, you really see it's a piece of the word of God in these devotional things. That's why it makes you feel good. That's why it motivates you. So I think that spiritual aspect, whatever it is, to whomever, is very important.
So can you talk either one of you, about why you feel that a spiritual grounding or foundation or base for a relationship is important. What difference is there in the relationship that has it versus the relationship that does not have it?
Sure. Let me take that one for just a quick second. You can add on if you want, baby. But it's important because of an authority, right? So everybody has a boss. Right. No matter where you work, no matter what it is, you have a boss, right? And so in a relationship, we like to address our boss in our matters. So when there's something going on at the regional level, we need to take it up a notch and go to our boss, right? And so also for me, this is God's daughter first. And so I have to be respectful of his child. Yes, she's my wife, but it's also his child. So I want to be in a position where I'm treating someone else's property better than I would treat my own.
Right. No, I love that. I think so from my perspective, I don't know if maybe we told you guys, so I am the motivational person that you're talking about. Okay. I am the person that has the quotes and the affirmations and remind people about their greatness so that they can walk differently and talk differently. So the way I would answer that question for any relationship, no matter what it is that standing on a foundation of spirituality, whatever that may be for you, is so important for the reasons that you guys said, but as well is because you recognize that there is something outside of you that is guiding you, whatever you call that. It could be the universe. It could be whoever it is that you go to, whatever it is that brings you light. I know people say that it's the light and it's the universe. If that's your thing, the core, the fundamental premise of spirituality is the belief that there is something more powerful than you.
That's right.
That is guiding you on a regular basis. And for that, there's gratitude. For that, you woke up this morning. For that, you're here and you're in this space where you have choice.
Yeah.
And so I think all of those things, like when we talk spirituality and why, because I believe that is so core. And I remember when my father was here, I've been talking about him so much these past couple of weeks. So when my father was living, I remember being in some relationships and he would always tell me, that relationship isn't, even though you don't want to hear it, I just want you to know that relationship isn't going to work. And it's not going to work because there's not a core foundation of spirituality there.
Right.
They don't believe in anything.
Right.
They don't know that they believe in anything. And when you're not grounded in that, you're lost.
Isn't it a quote that says, stand for something or fall for anything?
Yeah. And that goes to completely answer the rest of your question, Mervin. What happens to the other relationships is that they have no one who they are under authority from. And so that means that I'm where I stop. So I'm the end all be all. So that means if I don't like something she's doing, then because I don't like it, then I won't deal with it. I don't have any responsibility that's above me. And so with that being said, it's usually better when a person or a couple, a group, whomever has some spiritual foundation, because I know that there's something keeping us together greater than myself.
Right. And there's a sense of accountability.
Yes.
That comes with that. And I always have the perspective that if everyone is accountable to someone or something greater than themselves, to your point, you know, there's a whether you want to call it spirit, whether you want to call it power, whatever you want to refer to, it's something that transcends you. And I also prefer to look at it not only as something greater outside of you, but something greater within you.
Yeah.
Because I think when we only think of it as outside of us, it's easier to detach.
Okay.
As opposed to within. And then when we talk about relationship, if you have people coming together, both with this spiritual power within them and outside of them, it just makes for it makes for a stronger sense of accountability to do the right thing.
Yes.
To try to be, when I say do the right thing, I mean in terms of being a better person. And if both people come together with the intent to be a better person, then it's usually a lot harder to
break that relationship apart.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we want to do when we come back from break, we might have blown through the break. I think we might have, but we haven't. Okay. So one of the things that I'd love to be able to do, give you guys advance notice, is kind of a lightning round. And so I would say something, a type of relationship. So whether it's marriage, friends, employees, we'll go down maybe like 6 of them.
Okay.
And then if there's trouble in paradise in that relationship, what's one thing that they can do?
Okay.
And we'll just boom, 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 boom. How does that sound? I know sometimes you got to come up with stuff on the go. So just gonna play a game.
Let's roll with it.
Let's roll with it, right?
All right.
Okay, we're still going? Oh, well, all right. Okay. So let's start.
Okay.
All right. So this is all about, and one of the things we love to do with our audiences is give them tangible things that they can walk away with. Not
Sure.
just theory, not just, hey, we're doing it, but some stuff that they can absolutely walk away with.
Okay.
So for all things relationship, let's just check real quick before we do this. If there's any questions, do you have any questions, Merv?
Yes.
You do? No, on your thing. No.
I don't have any questions.
So let's do this real quick. Now this is the lightning round.
Okay.
I love that. Yes, this is the lightning round. So
Did you just come with?
Yes, we're on it.
Super.
Okay.
And so when it comes to marriage, if maybe we should give them a scenario.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You
Yes.
adding stuff in the mix.
Yes. Let's start with friends because I feel like marriage gets us all the way up there.
Okay.
Let's start just with a friendship.
Okay.
Your friend has done something that really you feel betrayed by. Your friend has said something to somebody else. You thought it was in confidence, but they've gone and shared it. And it now makes you vulnerable. It now puts you in a position where you're not comfortable. So you feel betrayed. How can you now address that person? Should you address that person?
This is funny because I would not. If you talk to any of my friends as of late, the past month or so, I've told all of my girlfriends that every person confides in someone, and it may not be you. So I may be your best friend, your ride or die, but I may not feel comfortable sharing with you everything that you share with me. So I may confide in him. Okay? It doesn't make it wrong. It just makes our relationship different. And so what that means, if he doesn't feel comfortable sharing everything with me and decides to share some things with him, then it keeps going and it keeps going. And so I would say not to confide anything in anyone that you don't want repeated. And I know it's hard to say that, but we're all human and we all have this thing. And this thing works. This mouth works. So I would honestly say if you trust that person with everything in you to communicate with that person, regardless of what that matter is, it's like loaning money. It's like loaning money. You have to be okay with not getting it back.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah,
and so you have to be okay with letting that information out. And if it does not stay there, you be okay with that. There are family members that we will not share anything with because they can't keep it. So you have to be okay with that. So confronting them for what? Because you made that decision to put it out there. And so if they just share what you send, it's like, well, I just don't understand why people get mad about even social media.
Right.
They put their business out there, and when other people chime in on it and comment on it, there's a problem. But you made the conscious decision to put that information out there. So I would say if you feel the need to communicate with that person, let them know that. But I would then say you would have to do a reality check within yourself to say, why did I feel comfortable sharing this information with this person? And it's a note to the wise not to share that information again. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I certainly agree. But if you were to confront the person, the Bible says, in all thy getting, get understanding. Right? And so a lot of times we take offenses without the understanding of it. So sometimes people do things that they don't mean to be malicious. Right? And so if you're going to have a conversation, if you are going to confront the person, confront them in a manner that says, okay, tell me, where did this come from? What stemmed from this? What was it all about? And then get the understanding of maybe it was just a slip of the tongue. Maybe it was them trying to get information to help out the situation because it was above their pay grade. We never know, but our trouble is that we take things and we run with them so quickly. So if you do confront a person, get the understanding of what happened, of the entire situation. And in that way you can be better advised on how you proceed.
Okay, you've heard it. So you want to give a situation for a boss employee?
Okay, yeah. So say you have a supervisor that you feel is verbally or emotionally abusive to, not to you, but to a colleague, and you feel like it's wrong, it makes you uncomfortable, but you don't know what to do. Would you advise saying something, A, to the colleague, B, to the boss, or C, neither?
3 to HR, because it's harassment. Even if you
that's right. Send that anonymous email to HR and just let them know something's not right.
You answered that. I'm not good with those type of employee questions.
Yeah, it's really hard because we are entrepreneurs, right? And so that's part of the reason why we're entrepreneurs, because like it's hard to answer to someone else in that realm. But we have worked with other people before, so it's not like it's a topic that we're oblivious to. Right. And so in that regard, I would first talk to the employee. So I would talk to someone who's on my level, you know, that person who I deem being offended, right? Because maybe they're not taking it the way I am. Maybe it's nothing to them. Maybe they have a different relationship with the boss than I perceive, right? Exactly. You still have to get understanding of it, right? And so if you go to them and they're scared or they're afraid to stand up for themselves, then you take action. Then you can go ahead and step in and possibly speak to the boss. Or, I loved your answer, the first answer, and that's talk to HR, because that's what they're there for. They're there to handle that. Because a supervisor, a lot of times, can twist things in a certain manner that puts you in a bad light. And it's your word against theirs, you know? And so it gets kind of sketchy in that type of frame of mind. What you thinking?
I'm thinking about a particular company where I'm thinking about, so
we have to go to break.
Okay.
Think about that.
Okay.
I have some too.
yeah.
So when we come back, we're going to jump in here because this lightning round will get you going.
Yes, it will.
I got another one. So
you do.